Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 17th of October and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, let's start with the video. In the video, we'll discuss the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper along with the background and the way forward in the articles. Before that, I want to tell you, if you are new here, you can download the synoptic notes of the entire newspaper articles that we'll discuss. In these synoptic notes, you will get all the detailed explanation which you can follow along with the video. Fine. And in the last, we also have given the mains practice question for the today. Now, before starting up, let's take the overview of the entire newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are important for exam and which articles are not that much relevant, only the headings are to be seen. Now, first article talks about Congress to choose between Kharge and Tharoor today. So, the internal elections for the Congress party are being discussed, not very much important for the examination. Then private project gave investment boost in the quarter 2. This article talks about the Project India's report with respect to the private sector investments. We'll see this particular article. Okay. After that, basically this article is talking about the Communist Party of China's national conference. Okay. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that as this national conference is going on, okay, the national conference has started, that is yesterday 16th of October. Now once this entire matter will culminate, we'll see in the detail all the developments that will be coming out. Let more article come on this particular direction, and even I think three or four articles already earlier we have also taken. Then moving on, the city section, the political news etc. have been given, not very much important to go in this particular direction. Okay, then there are a lot of advertisements etc. Punjab's war on a drugs addiction. Now guys, this article will see with respect to a case study for GS paper number 4 as well as with social issues. We will see this particular article. Then moving on, again the advertisements etc. are given, not very much important, so directly we'll be reaching to editorial page. Now editorial, the first editorial, food day, a reminder to leave no one behind. Very good article with respect to the hunger and related issues. GS1 GS2 will see that. The bigger picture of intermediation financial crisis. So recently the Nobel Prize on economics was given, so on that direction this article has been there. Then moving on, questionable urgency. Now recently GN Sai Baba, who was charged that he has who was charged that he has played a role in the Naxalite activity, he was recently acquitted. Now again that particular order has been kept on hold, so that article is being discussed. However, with respect to the examination, much substance is not there in this particular article, so I'll not suggest you to go there. Okay, so as this matter will unfold, finally what will happen, that is something you need to see. Liz Truss seems to have gutted Tory fortunes. Fine, again no need to go in the article. A plumbing of inner party democracy, we'll see this particular article, what the article is talking about. Good article with respect to the GS paper number 2. Okay, a gamble that is unlikely to pay off. Why K. Chandrasekhar Rao's role in national politics is difficult to visualize. Okay, the political article. Then the old pension scheme and the national pension scheme has been compared. Fine, old pension scheme and national pension scheme, the rate of interest and all such things. Understanding the global hunger index. So we have seen that the global hunger index was released. Fine, and in the global hunger index, the India's rank was very poor, that is 107 rank. Now the government has rejected this particular report, so we'll see what have been the issues. Why does the SC collegium holds primacy over the transfers? So we'll see this particular article as what is being mentioned. Then further, the next page of the text and context, the shape of Elon Musk versus Twitter story, how the saga unfolded. Okay, now if you have some interest in this particular controversy, you can read it. However, for examination, the much substance in this particular article is not there. Okay, then MBBS courses in Hindi kicks off in MP with release of textbooks. So in the past we have seen repeatedly this thing, that that the government has provided that the higher education, particularly the education in law, medicine and engineering, needs to be provided in mother tongue and there even in the Hindi language. Now what has happened, we have seen this article earlier also, that that the textbooks for the MBBS course has been released in Hindi, and with this particular thing, now the medical education will be provided in the Hindi. Now just one line concept you need to understand guys, that actually the new education policy talked about the promotion of the mother tongues. It talked about the promotion of the mother tongues up till the class 5th, or if possible till the class 8th. That was something that was provided in the national education policy of 2020. Now post that, government government has said that even in the higher education we need to promote the regional languages and even Hindi, and in this direction now the basically MBBS courses in Hindi will be started. Moving on, arms performance in Adampur, etc. Nothing important. Tamil Nadu raises concern over presence of Chinese troops in Sri Lanka. We'll see this article with respect to national security. Then CBI summons Delhi Deputy CM. Okay. After that, many challenges as India takes up the G20 presidency. So guys, the finance minister of India, okay, is a finance minister of India will be is going to preside some of the key conferences, and there she has provided that India will see many challenges. Now the Indonesia is holding the presidency of G20 and India will take the presidency of G20 in December, in December 2022, and for the next 1 year, the G20's presidency will be held by the India. Now right now there are many challenges. For example, the world is divided between the Russia and China on one hand and USA on another hand. Ukraine war is going on, food inflation is high, then the global cooperation, global trust between the countries have been at very low level. Okay, so there are certain kind of challenges that India will be taking up. Now I'll just suggest you one thing, that guys, see, the G20 presidency will be taken by India, and by the time your exam will come, India would have initiated couple of initiatives also under the G20. So once that particular thing will happen, then this particular article will be more significant. So till that particular time, I'll not advise you that you go and you read every day's article, because that particular thing will not be effective for the examination. Is it clear? Then moving on, India's coal mines are severely underutilized. So this is a very good report that has been released. We'll see this entire article. India has a potential to attract more than 475 billion FDI, $1 billion of FDI. We'll see this article also. Then public dashboard. So this article talks about the legacy landfills, Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0. We'll see this article. Center may not pick up the fresh stocks of COVID-19 vaccine, because the government says that now the uptake of vaccine is very much less, cases are coming low, and most of the people had got already immunized. So therefore that is something. PLA officers part of Galwan clash attends the party congress. So I told you guys that the Communist Party of China's National Congress has started. So there, this thing is there. However, for exam you don't need to follow this particular article. 4 killed in the Iran, in the Iran's jail, again not very much important. Then guys, we have the money wise page. So money wise page on Monday, business page doesn't comes, and the money wise page, it contains the investing and all such kind of an advices. Okay, travel with the right cover for senior citizens. So the foreign travel with the right cover of insurance is being talked about. Not important article for exam. Then the sports page we have. Okay, and this is all guys, the overview of the entire newspaper. I hope that you have understood this overview and you have got a sense of idea that which articles are important. Guys, understanding actually the what to read and what not to read is a very important art. Sometimes there are certain issues that we just ignore, that just we skip, are actually very important for our examination, and sometimes just by seeing the heading we think that the article is important, and we end up doing day-to-day trace certain issues which don't hold much of the significance. So this is something very important. Now let's start with the let's start with the detailed discussion. And first, in every class we take a GS quotation. This particular quotation can be used in one of your GS papers. So today we'll take the quotation from the Albert Schweitzer. Now Albert Schweitzer has given a very beautiful definition of ethics, which can directly be used in GS paper number 4. So Albert Schweitzer says that ethics is the activity of man directed to secure the inner perfection of personality. Now understand this thing, that ethics is not something which is external, ethics is internal. We need to transform ourselves, we need to transform our personality, we need to transform our souls in such a way that we look beyond our own self-interest, we look about other people's well-being, we have an attitude of empathy and compassion. So what is ethics? Ethics is not that you have just to focus on external, rather you also have to focus on internal, and therefore inner perfection of the personality is the most important objective of ethics. This is a very beautiful quotation, and directly it can be used in ethics paper number 4, GS4, ethics paper number 4, in the topic number 1. So the topic number 1 is ethics and human interface. So there we can use it. GS paper number 4, topic number 1, ethics and human interface. Now let's take the first article. Okay, So first of all, let's read the heading of the article, and then we'll understand the utility of this article and what this article is all about. So the article reads about the public dashboard to track progress of remediation of the legacy landfills. Okay, now guys, I'll just be telling you some of the background of this article, and after that we'll go in this article. First of all, where this article will be important, meanwhile the article will be important in GS paper number 2. The article will be important in the GS paper number 2, evaluation of the government schemes. So in that, Swachh Bharat mission is being discussed. So the evaluation of the Swachh Bharat mission and some initiatives under the Swachh Bharat mission which has been launched, we'll see here. Then it will also be important for GS paper number 1. In GS paper number 1, there is the topic of urbanization. Now urbanization and the challenges of urbanization. One of the challenge is because of the population pressure, there are the land dump sites that are there, and how it is leading to problem. That is something which also will be seen in this article. Now let's take the article. First of all, guys, if you live in any metropolitan city, or if you are living in some other tier 2 or tier 3 or tier 1 city also, you might be knowing this thing, that around the cities there are some of the heaps of the garbage mountains that are there. Even if you go towards the Delhi, in the Delhi around the Azadpur, there is the big heaps of the mountains, garbage mountains that are there. Now basically, these garbage dumps, they have multiple problems. Number one problem is that they acquire a lot of land. They take a lot of land. That particular land could have been used for some productive purposes. Now if we see, the population density in the tier 1 and metropolitan cities are increasing. Because of population density, people are not able to have they are not able to have the public parks are not there, public utilities are not there, even the localities where they are living, they are very crammed up. So we need more places for public utility services. We need more land for economical housing dwelling units and all such kind of things. So therefore a lot of land will be freed if these garbage dumps are cleared. Second thing is that these garbage dumps are also leading to some of the health challenges. They are also leading to some of the health problem. First of all, these garbage dumps, they led to the spread of many of the pathogens. They become the breeding ground of chikungunya, malaria, dengue, all such kind of diseases. Third problem, it is also leading to an ecological, they are also leading to ecological or an environment problem. Now what happens? You know these particular things, that as these land garbage dumps are there, many a number of times what happens, there is the rains that come. Okay, there are the rains. Now when the rains are coming, okay, basically there will be the toxic waste and many of the harmful substances that will be there into that particular waste. They will peep and they will enter the groundwater. There is a kind of a very toxic, a sticky kind of a substance that get forms when these particular garbage dumps, they are mixed with the water. We call it as leachate. Okay, now that leachate, okay, it enters into the groundwater and there it pollutes the groundwater. So it is a very big challenge. Then many number of times there is also one more problem, that these garbage dumps, they catch fire. These garbage dumps, they catch fire, and by that particular thing they pollute. Few days back there was the fire in one of a garbage dump in Delhi, and that fire continued for many weeks, and for the weeks to come it impacted the air quality in Delhi. Then fifthly, there is also an aesthetic issue. There is also, for the aesthetic purpose, they are also not very much good. They look very bad. Okay, moreover, because of the aesthetically they don't look very good, they look very bad, it impacts the tourism. And sixthly, the people who are living around these garbage dumps, their ease of living gets impacted, because number one, all the challenges of these landfills, they will be faced directly by the people living around this particular region. So the ease of living will be always be impacted. So therefore these garbage dumps are a very big problem. Okay, now there is one particular keyword that we will be seeing here, that is the legacy landfills. First of all, let me tell you the meaning of this legacy landfills and then we'll go in this particular article. So what is a legacy waste? Okay, any waste that has been dumped and it has been stayed there for more than 3 months, it is called as legacy waste. Okay, so today when we see these dumping sites, for many years these dumping sites are there, and obviously the waste that is lying there, it is more than 3 month old, so that waste will be called as legacy waste and these sites will be called as legacy waste dumping sites. Okay, and almost all the cities have these particular kinds of a site. Today if we talk about India, there are 2200 such dumping sites that are very big and are a very big challenge on all the fronts that we have just discussed. Okay, now understand this thing, that today first of all when we talk about these garbage dump sites, okay, they are a very big problem, and Maharashtra's greater Mumbai, it holds the maximum amount of legacy waste in the Maharashtra, and it is one of the biggest legacy waste landslide site. Now what happened in 2021? In 2021, the Prime Minister announced the Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0, Swachh Bharat Mission Urban 2.0, and as a part of this Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0, Lakshya Zero Dump Site Mission was launched. What was launched? Lakshya Zero Dump Site Mission. Under this particular mission, government provided that all the legacy dump sites will be surveyed, they will be analyzed. First of all, understand this thing, as of now there is not even the data that how many dump sites are there. So first of all, their survey will be done, the types of waste that is available, that is there in them, it will be seen, and then the remedial actions, how that problem can be solved, how these dumps can be segregated, can be disposed, all these things will be done. So therefore what happened? The Lakshya Zero dump site was started. Now under this particular mission, the aim is to make all the cities garbage free, and the timeline that has been taken, it is for the 5-year period, that is by 2026 all the cities are to be made garbage free, and secondly these dump sites are to be cleared. Now it has been provided that today there are more than 1000 legacy landfill sites that has already been approved by the government, and these landfill sites, 1000 landfill sites will be cleared, and there are the different timelines for the completion. Some site might be cleared by 23, 24, so different timelines are there. Now first of all, understand this particular thing. There is one very big problem that has been in building for so many of the years. See, when we talk about these landfill sites, they were originally identified. These landfills were only supposed to contain the remnants of the solid waste after the processing. Now you see this thing, that suppose the garbage is collected, this garbage will be processed, and after the processing, let's say there was 100 kg garbage initially, that will be processed, and post processing only 5 kg or 10 kg garbage will be left over. That garbage was to be put in these landfill sites. But what is happening? There is no solid waste management. There is no processing. Directly the garbage is being collected and it is being dumped there. This is very big problem that's there. Okay, so therefore original purpose has never been met, and because of that today these heaps of the mountains of the trashes they have built. Now what's the present development? What's this present article all about? So basically guys, now the government, okay, the government has announced that they will be coming out with a public dashboard. In this public dashboard there will be 2200 such dumping sites that will be listed. Okay, I told you that though there are 1000 such sites that have been identified, but all those 1000 are not that big. So the biggest one out of those 1000, that is 2200 sites, they will be listed on this public dashboard, and on this particular dashboard the citizens would be able to track the progress of their cities towards the remedial action on these legacy landfills. What is the government plan, when the government will start the initiative, by what time that particular initiative will be completed, what are the methodologies that will be taken. Okay, all these particular things have been provided on this particular dashboard. Now it has been provided that once we clear all these landfills, these dump sites, it will free up 15,000 acres of land. And now see this thing, there is a lot of possibility of this particular land that will be freed. Now this particular land can be used for creating the public utility services. This particular land could be used to provide the dwelling units to the migrant workers, to provide the affordable housing. Are you getting it or not? Even the government came out with the affordable housing project, affordable housing yojana. Now, under the affordable housing yojana, now you see this thing, affordable housing yojana, this was a scheme that was launched after the reverse migration crisis of 2020, when the migrants workers started to walk back. At that point of time, it was observed that rentals, they are a very big challenge in the urban cities, and many times migrants are not able to afford that. So affordable housing was provided, and these lands that will be freed, on that it will be created, can be created. This is one suggestion from our side that we are giving. So this is, guys, all about this particular article. Now understand this particular thing, public dashboard to remediation. Remediation, what is remediation? Remediation means that, see, this particular waste that is there, this waste will be segregated, it will be retreated, it will be used, it will be recycled, or if that particular waste is not usable, that waste can be incinerated. Incineration, okay, incineration. What is incineration? Incineration is a process where the waste to energy can be converted, waste to energy. So there are the incineration plants where these waste will be converted in energy. So when we talk about remediation, remediation means that these particular sites will be, basically the waste will be sorted, recycled, reused, incinerated, or whatever they want to do, they'll do. There is one more process also, that is bioremediation. Bioremediation. Now what is bioremediation? In the bioremediation, there will be certain bioenzymes, there will be certain bioenzymes, or there will be certain organisms, okay, bacteria, etc., which will be released onto these particular sites, and they will break down the complex substances into the simple substances. That is also a process by which many a times the waste, they are resolved. Now what exact practice will be used? They will be differing from site to site. There is no one size of it all process or technique that will be used on all the sites. No, one is not there. Every site will have different kind of a waste, and seeing that particular waste, different strategies will be used. So in that direction, we don't need to go. Just we need to have a broad idea about the remediation. Okay. So that is all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood, and within the urbanization, this is a very important and a very big topic. I hope you have understood it. Now we'll move to the next article. India's coal mines are severely underutilized amid push for new ones. Now this article talks about a report that has been released with respect to the efficiency in the existing coal mines, and on that basis whether India need to have more number of coal mines to resolve the coal crisis of India. Okay, we'll see this article with respect to GS paper number 3, GS paper number 3, energy security. GS paper number 3, energy security. Even in GS paper number 3, within the infrastructure sector, we'll see this article. Now let's start with the article. Before going in this article, I would like to tell you one persistent problem of the coal in India that we face every year. Few months back also this problem was there. Now you see this thing. What happens? At least twice a year, India experiences severe coal shortages. First of all, we see this thing that when the monsoon rain comes, many of the coal mines, they become dysfunctional because they are filled with the water, and then there is the coal shortage that is there. Moreover, when the summer approaches, at that point of a time also, there is the peak of electricity requirement that reaches, and then also many times the coal becomes shortage. Fine. So we have seen 100 of the 285 thermal power plants, they witnessed the coal stock shortage, and the coal reached below 25% mark. Okay, in 50 plants, the coal stocks, they reached less than at the 10% of the mark, and there were a lot of electricity shortages in the states such as the Andhra Pradesh, Jharkhand, Uttarakhand, Madhya Pradesh. There was even a threat that the Delhi metro might not be able to operate because there will be the electricity shortage that will be there. So every year electricity shortage and the coal shortage is witnessed. Now what government's strategy? Government says that because we are facing the coal shortages, we need to proceed with more and more number of coal mines so that they can provide the continuous supply of the coal to the electricity manufacturers. Is it clear? So therefore government says that we'll announce more coal mines, and in that particular capacity, what government has done? Government has already suggested the 99 additional coal mining projects. So that is the background that is going on. Now let's see whether this is good step or whether it is not a good step. So recently the global energy monitor, Global Energy Monitor has released the report. Now, Global Energy Monitor tracks the utilization of the fuel sources internationally, and it has studied the coal sector of India and has provided some of the inputs. First of all, what is the source of the report? Now, the Global Energy Monitor, they have performed an analysis on India's coal sector, and they have surveyed the annual reports of the Coal India. So the Coal India is the biggest coal extractor, not in India but in the world. So they have done the survey of the Coal India's annual reports, and they have provided that capacity constraints. They have not listed the capacity constraints as the reason to fail the as a reason as why India is failing to reach the production targets. The report, it says that on an average, India's coal mines, they use only two-thirds of the capacity. Okay, so only 66% of the capacity is being used, and there are some mines which are using only 1% of their capacity. Now, this is something which is really an eye opener. So existing coal mines, existing coal blocks, they are not being utilized to their fullest of the capacity. Only 66%, and in some only 1% of the capacity is being utilized. So first of all, guys, understand this thing. You need to exploit the entire capacity of the existing coal mines, and once that has been reached, then only you should go to the new coal minings. Now, there are some of the data that has been provided by the Global Energy Monitor. According to Global Energy Monitor, what is happening? We are going with the 99 coal mine projects, and this particular thing is expected to yield 427 million ton per annum. Clear, that is something that is going to happen. Now, these coal mines, the 99 coal mines that are being given, it will displace 165 villages. It will affect more than 87,000 families. Okay, now the number is not very much important, but you need to see that these coal mines will have a lot of cost in terms of the displacement, cost in terms of the relocation of the families, social costs are there. Okay, then many of these families, they are living in, the predominant of these families are the tribal communities. Okay, and it also threatens to divert the agricultural land. Okay, threaten 22,000 hectares of agricultural land, and more than 19,000 hectares of forest land will also be diverted, and at the same time it will also consume a lot of water. So it's being provided that 1,68,000 kiloliter of water per day will be used, which is equivalent to the needs of 1 million people. Now, understand this thing, that we don't need to remember the exact data, but when we are going forward with the new coal mines, it will have many of the problems. Number one, there are the social cost. Why? Because the people are being displaced from the places where they have lived. For example, the tribal communities, they have lived in the forest from so many of the sanctuaries, but now they are being displaced. So there are the social cost. Then there are the environmental cost. Because we see this thing, that the forest land will be diverted. Okay, then at the same time there will be the economical losses onto the front of the food security will be there. Why? Because again the agricultural land will also be diverted. We have seen this, more than 22,000 hectares of agricultural land will be diverted. Okay, then at the same time there will be the cost on the natural cost. How the natural cost? The water which is required by 1 million people, that water will be used in these new coal mines, so that water will be lost. India already is facing the water scarcity. So in all these particular directions, going forward with the new mines don't make any sense until and unless we utilize the complete capacity of the existing coal mines. Right now only 66% of capacity, and in some mines only 1% of capacity is being utilized. So this is something that is there. And guys, as we talk about the coal sector, it is a very important sector within the infrastructure, and there the coal shortages have been a very important topic. So there, if a question is coming, you can always mention the Global Energy Monitor's report. This will give a very fresh outlook. It will give a very fresh perspective in your answers. So that is all about this particular article, and now we'll move to the next article. Understanding the Global Hunger Index. Now, this article will see with respect to GS1 and GS2, issues related to hunger. Fine. Now, guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the sustainable developmental goals, within the sustainable developmental goal there is goal number 2. Okay, within sustainable developmental goal there is goal number 2, which talks about ending the extreme hunger. Okay, zero hunger by 2023. Now when we talk about the zero hunger by 2023, we need to have some data, we need to have some numbers as what is country's performance right now. Now in this particular direction the global hunger index comes. Now if you remember, on the Saturday we have discussed the entire global hunger index report. Now what has happened, government have said that this global hunger index report is wrong, and whatever data is given for India, it is not correct. Okay, now first of all let's discuss very briefly about the global hunger index. If you have seen on the Saturday, please revise it, and if you have not seen it, then please be very careful. Now very briefly we'll understand first of all the global hunger index. Now when we talk about global hunger index, it is released by the NGO, that is the concern worldwide, and the next is the wealth hunger life. Wealth hunger life. Okay, now the global hunger index measures the hunger on the 4 parameters. There are the 4 parameters. Number 1 is undernourishment sees that whether a person is able to get the food fine with respect to the caloric requirement of that person. So every person's there is some energy requirement. For example, if my energy requirement is 2000 calories, if I am getting the 2000 calories on everyday basis, then fine. Otherwise it will be the issue of hunger, there will be the undernourishment that is there. Then the next is the child stunting. Now what is child stunting? Child stunting is height to age. So for a particular age, a particular height needs to be there. If it's not there, then also it is because of the hunger nutrition. Then there is a child wasting. Child wasting is weight to height. So guys, please note it that it is weight to height. Okay, then child mortality, the number of children dying before the age of 5. Okay, and on this particular basis, under the global hunger index, the countries are ranked in 5 categories. Fine, the countries where there is low hunger, moderate hunger, serious hunger, alarming hunger, and extremely alarming hunger. Okay, now in this particular global hunger index, the countries are given a score. So score ranges between 0 to 100. Okay, now if there is a score of 0, okay, score of 0 reflects that it is best, there is no hunger, and the score of 100 provides that there is very high hunger. Now when we talk about India, India's score is 29.1 and India's rank is 107 out of 121 countries. India's rank is 107 out of 121 countries. Because of that particular thing, India's performance is being said is very poor. India's rank is lower than the rank of Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, even Pakistan. Pakistan's rank is even 99. Only country which have performed poor than India, okay, in our neighborhood is Afghanistan, whose rank is 109. Now this is something that has been provided. Okay, moreover, we have already seen that what is the specific data with respect to some specific indicators. For example, child wasting, it is 19.3%, which is poorer than 2014, where it was just 15.1%. okay, even in 2000 we have 17% child wasting, but now it increased to 19.3%, which is very much poor. Okay, now guys, moving on in this particular direction, now we'll be discussing briefly that why this year's global hunger index have been rejected. Moreover, the previous years, that is the last year when the India's rank was 101, that time also India rejected the global hunger index finding. Now reason number 1 that has been given by the India, so basically the Ministry of Women and Child Development have rejected this particular report. Now they are saying that basically the ranking that has been given, it is on the basis of the estimates of the proportion of undernourished population. Is it clear or not? It is on the basis of the estimates of the proportion of undernourished population. Now guys, it is saying that basically it is being provided that basically actually what has happened, okay, there is a food insecurity experience scale. there was the food insecurity experience scale survey. Okay, in this, now this particular survey was done, and this particular survey had taken the sample size of just 3,000 respondents who were asked the 8 questions. Okay, and on the basis of this particular survey, India's ranking was given. Now it being said that 3,000 people is a very small sample size. Okay, now when we talk about India, the government has said this thing, that the data represented a minuscule proportion of the country of India's size. Now India having more than 130 crore people, so how you can draw the trend of the 130 crore people on the basis of just the sample size of 3,000 respondents? So therefore the government had said that this particular data represented a very tiny, very minuscule proportion of the country's size. Is it clear or not? That is something that has been provided. Now it says that India's per capita dietary energy supply has increased year on year due to enhanced production of the major agricultural commodities. Now we'll see this one article also just in few minutes, that India today is one of the biggest producer of the agricultural crops. So the government has said that over the years, because the agricultural commodities has increased, there is increased supply of nutrition to people. Moreover, the government has also said that this report has not taken in account many of the government's interventions, many of the government's food security schemes that have been launched. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana was started. We also discussed the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana because a few days back it was in news because its extension happened. And now under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, there was a 5 kg additional ration that was provided to the people. Already under National Food Security Act 2013, we are providing the 5 kg food grains to every individuals in a household, the households who are entitled. Okay, now apart from that, 5 kg ration was given in addition to what is being given under the National Food Security Act, but that has not been considered in this report. So therefore it's being provided that report is not based on complete ground story. The report is just a kind of an attempt to tarnish the India's attempt in eradicating the hunger. So therefore government had said that we reject this particular report. Is it clear or not? Now guys, understand this thing, that there will be couple of editorials that are going to come in the coming days, which will be analyzing this particular issue from the multiple angles. Some of the articles will say that yes, it's fine. Some articles will say that no, government is just trying to shift their moral burden. Okay, we'll see all those things that will come if they are important for the exam. So this is all about this present article. Now we'll move to the next article. Why does the Supreme Court collegium holds primacy over transfers? So this is actually, guys, a very recent issue that has been there. Now, even we have discussed this particular article also briefly few days back. Okay, see this thing. First of all, this article will see with respect to GS2 issues of judiciary. GS2 issues related to judiciary. Now, I'll tell you some of the background. Basically, what happened today when we talk about the Supreme Court collegium, it plays a very important role. Okay, now in the Supreme Court collegium will, number one, be recommending the judges who are to be appointed in Supreme Court. Number two, the collegium will also recommend the judges that are to be appointed in the High Court. And third, the collegium system will recommend the transfer of the High Court judges. So three functions are played by the collegium: recommending the name of Supreme Court judges, recommending the names to be appointed in High Court of judges, and third, transferring the High Court judges. Clear? These are certain things. Now, the article talks about one of an incident where the Supreme Court collegium recommended to the executive the transfer of certain High Court judges. Now, 2 High Court judges were to be transferred, but only one judge got transferred and other judge did not got transferred. So therefore, the article is saying that now the executive is not is not holding whatever the collegium is recommending. This is just the thing that is being provided. Now guys, understand this particular thing. If you read the article, there is a day-to-day development that has been done, that on September 28, for example, okay, then the suggestion was given, okay, Justice Pankaj Mithai, okay, and the names are being given, okay, Justice Muralidhars. Now you don't need to remember or read this particular thing, because guys, these details, the dates, etc., that has been given are not important for the examination. Moreover, when you are writing the answers, these personal details are not to be used. Again, I am telling, when you are writing the answers, personal details should never be there in your answers. So the name of the judges, and this is not something that you need to see. What you need to see, you need to see the phenomena. The academic dimension of this article is only to be seen. Now, when we talk about the appointment as well as transfer of the judges in the constitutional court, I told you it is a participatory consultative process. Okay, so for example, uh, there will be, now it's being provided that uh, participatory consultative process between the Supreme Court and the government will be happening. The exchange of ideas will be there, but at the same time, there is the collegium, whatever they will say, that is going to be supreme. Now it has been said that over the past few days, what has happened, government is involving in a kind of a cherry picking exercise. What is this cherry picking exercise? Suppose I'll give you certain examples. Suppose Supreme Court Collegium recommended the 5 judges that they should be elevated to Supreme Court. Now executive will not appoint these 5 judges to Supreme Court. Executive might appoint only 3 judges out of 5. So what have done? Out of the 5, 3 have been cherry picked. Or let's say the Supreme Court recommends that, okay, 2 judges are to be transferred from one high court to other high court. What the executive might do? Executive might transfer only 1 judge and other judge might not be transferred. So this is the cherry picking exercise that has been done. Now the article says this thing, that in the article says this particular thing, that the 3 judges case that came, 3 judges case has very clearly provided that there will be the primacy of the collegium. So the collegium led by the CJI, they will be primary, and whatever they will suggest into the judicial appointments, that has to be done. It is being provided that the position of the executive is reduced to the minimum. Their role is just appointing and not further deliberating that matter. The 3rd judge's case provided that the word consultation has been used. Instead, it was for this reason that the word consultation instead of concurrence was used in the constitution. So therefore, this is something, it is not a healthy tradition, and the way forward in this particular direction is that we need to reform. We need to bring the checks and balances in the memorandum of procedure. Now what is memorandum of procedure? It is a detailed pro forma which is listing the process of appointment of the judges in Supreme Court and High Court as well as a transfer. So in this memorandum of procedure, certain changes are needed to be brought so that the unilateral segregation by the government can be reduced. A new memorandum of procedure needs to be brought, or amendment are to be brought. This is one of the thing. Now, with respect to the exam, the article is not that big. Just one dimension or 2 dimensions in the answers of the judiciary related issue can be put here. Is it clear? So that is all about this article, and now we'll move to the next article. Food day as a reminder to leave no one behind. Okay, food day as a reminder to leave no one behind. Now this article again we'll see with respect to GS1, GS paper number 2, issues of social justice as well as issues of hunger. Now this is a very good article, and some of very good dimensions have been provided in this article. Now okay, basically guys, today when we talk about the sustainable developmental goals, I already provided you that the sustainable developmental goal number 2 talks about the zero hunger by 2030. Now, however, today the food security in the world had got impacted by many number of reasons. For example, COVID-19 pandemic, it has disturbed the food security. Then climate change, it is disturbing the cropping patterns around the world, and therefore the food output, food production got impacted. Spiraling food inflation because of the Russia-Ukraine war that is going on. Many of the critical channels they got disturbed. Russia in itself is a very big exporter of wheat. Okay, so because of that, the food inflation is coming. Then there are the conflicts, inequality, richer are becoming richer, poor are becoming more poor. Because of inequality also, the food security is getting disturbed. Now recently, the hunger hotspot outlook, a report that has been published by the Food and Agricultural Organization under the United Nations and the World Food Program. By the way, World Food Program got the Nobel Prize in Peace category in 2020 also. So the Food and Agriculture Organization and World Food Program, they have released this report. Again, the name of the report is Hunger Hotspot Outlook Report. Please keep it in your mind, because for the prelims examination, such kind of reports are asked at a many number of times. Now, this particular report says that because of the crises that are coming right now in the world, we discussed already, there will be 205 million people, there will be 205 billion people across the 45 countries that will need emergency food assistance to survive. If they are not given emergency food assistance, they might die, there might be mortality, fatality, etc. So this is a very big number. 205 million people will need food assistance. Now, yesterday, that was the October 16, was observed as the World Food Day, and on this particular World Food Day, we need to ensure that most vulnerable people within our community, they have easy access to safe and nutritious food. So poor people, the marginalized people, okay, urban poor particularly, the migrant worker, these are the vulnerable sections of the society, and their food security needs to be taken care of. Fine. Now, it is being said that if we want to end the hunger by 2030, which is the goal of sustainable developmental goal number 2, we need to make sure that reforms at multiple levels are coming. Now, what are these multiple levels on which the reforms are to be brought? Number 1, we need to strengthen the agri-food systems, okay, food processing, agriculture. So this agri-food system is needed to be strengthened. Then second is better production. We need to use high yielding variety seeds, or the efficiency of our farms are needed to be enhanced. Guys, just I want to tell you one thing beyond the scope of this particular article, that India today is the world's largest producer. We have the biggest net sown area in the world, but still our efficiency of the farms is not that much effective. Then better nutrition, even the food that is being grown, they should have better nutritional quality, better environment and better life. They are something which is needed to be taken care of. Now, when we talk about India attained the self-sufficiency in 1960s. We went for the green revolution, and by that green revolution, self-sufficiency is attained. Today we are the largest agricultural product exporter. Is it clear or not? Fine. But understand this particular thing, and we are today the largest agriculture exporters, and in 2021-2022 there was the 20% increase in the agricultural production compared to the previous year. So this is something very good. India should be happy about that particular thing. But after that, there are certain new challenges that are coming which might challenge the India's food security. So today we have very good food production, but it might not be in the future. There are climate shocks that have raised the concerns. Okay, and these climate shocks will impact India's wheat and rice production over the years. Guys, understand this particular thing. The winter patterns are changing. Okay, when we talk about wheat, for example, wheat is a rabi crop, and wheat as a rabi crop depend on many of the climatic factors. Okay, now as the winter patterns are getting disturbed, rainfall patterns are getting disturbed, okay, untimely rains are there. All these are the results of climate change that is happening. So therefore this climate change we might impact the India also, because we are one of the biggest agrarian nation. Now the World Food Day, okay, so I told you already that October 16 was observed as the World Food Day. Now this World Food Day is a reminder to leave no one behind. All the vulnerable sections are to be provided the food. Now today when we talk about India, India is actually have taken large number of initiatives to make sure people are getting the food, and in this direction the biggest is the National Food Security Act of 2013, where subsidized food grains at 3 to 1 are being given. 3 rupees kg rice, 2 rupees kg wheat, and 1 rupees per kg coarse grains are being given to the people. Okay, at the same time we also have the targeted public distributions system under the from the public under the public distribution system. There are the fair price shops from where these subsidized food grains can be taken. Then guys, at the same time we are also running the PM Poshan. Now PM Poshan, it is the changed name of the midday meal scheme. So under the PM Poshan or the midday meal scheme, the children in the schools are being provided the hot cooked meals. Now see this thing, TPDS, PM Poshan, all basically they all are providing the food under the National Food Security Act. Now at the same time government has taken many of other steps also to make the system more effective. Now you might be knowing this thing, that under the under the basically TPDA system, there were a lot of corruptions that were there. Many times the food was not reaching to the real beneficiaries. There were the ghost beneficiaries who were taking the most of the advantages. So in order to solve that particular thing, government is further moving towards digitization, okay, so that the pilferages, diversions don't happen. Rice fortification, fine, so that the nutritional content in the present rice can be increased. Better health and sanitation is being provided. Moreover, in this direction, for providing the better sanitation, Swachh Bharat Mission, etc. are also working. Fine, so this is something that is happening. Today when we talk about, guys, India, the TPDS has become a lifeline, and the TPDS has become a very important lifeline even during the time of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, there is a report by the International Monetary Fund, IMF. The report's name is Pandemic Poverty and Inequality, and this particular report says that India's extreme poverty was maintained below 1% due to Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana. Now, I already discussed with you Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana. Under this particular Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, 5 kg of additional food grain was provided during the time of the pandemic. 5 kg of additional food grain was provided. Now, by this particular Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, what happened? Many people who could have become extremely poor, many of the people who might have died because of the hunger, that thing did not happen. It saved, and therefore it says that extreme poverty was maintained below 1%. So this is some very good initiative that was taken. Now, guys, understand this particular thing, that for example, sometimes when we are seeing the evaluation of the government schemes, we need to support that particular thing by some data. So here the IMF's Pandemic Poverty and Inequality report can be used. Moving on, then the article talks about that actually there are some more things that we need to focus upon. See, today the agricultural production is getting impacted because of the environmental challenges that is there, soil degradation that is there. So if today we want to ensure nutritional security, food security, we need to have environmental sustainability. If environment is not sustainable, then there is going to be challenges. Soil, if it is not healthy, then the productivity of that soil get impacted, and at the end of the day, food production will get impacted. Today, there is a non-judicious use of chemicals, pesticides, fertilizers, which had impacted the soil fertility, soil productivity. Even there is indiscriminate use of the water. Now, when you apply a lot of water in the fields, it leads to the problem of salinization. Okay, all these issues are there. Now, in this particular direction, guys, there is one crop that becomes very important because of the soil degradation, because of the environmental challenges, because of the water shortages. Millets is one particular crop which is very important. Now, millets in the past years have got the renewed attention. They are being called as the climate smart crops. Why the climate smart crops? Because number one, they need very few inputs. They need very few inputs in terms of the fertilizers, etc. At the same time, they are less extractive for the soil. They will not deplete the fertility of the soil, rather they can revive the soil health. Okay, at the same time, they have a lot of genetic diversity. Okay, because of that genetic diversity, they also become very hardy. They become very resistant kind of crops. They are not very much susceptible to the pest or such kind of a very minor changes if in climate are there. They are resistant to that. They don't get too much impacted. And because of this importance of the millets, India is specifically trying to revive the millet production in the entire world, and even in the United Nations General Assembly, India has proposed that 2023 should be declared as the International Year for Millets. Okay, now because we are promoting the millet production at the world stage, India within the domestic boundaries also had taken some of important decisions. For example, guys, number one, today we are the world's leading producer for millets. Around 14% of the global production is being met in India. Then India is running many of the sub programs under the bigger schemes. For example, under the National Food Security Mission, under the National Food Security Mission, we are implementing a sub mission on nutri cereals, millets. Fine, this is something that is happening. Then there are many of the state governments which have specifically focused on millets. The state government where irrigation or where the water availability is not there, they have specifically more focus. Now Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, okay, they are focusing on the millets, okay, and they are trying to address the food security, okay, the sustainable developmental goal number 2. Now there is one program, that is a Tejaswini program, okay. Now, now the Tejasvi program, now the Tejaswini program has been started with Madhya Pradesh. There is International Fund for Agriculture Development, IFAD. Okay, so the IFAD, okay, it has started the Tejaswini program with the Madhya Pradesh, and under this particular Tejaswini program, the millet will be grown. The focus on millets will be given. It is being said that the millets, they are the super crops. They can increase nearly 10 times the increase in income. Now you see this thing, farmers' income are to be doubled by 2024 as suggested by the Ashok Dulwai committee. So the millet production can be something there. So if the farmers switch to the millet production, it can bring a nearly 10 time increase in the income. Better food security will be there because the millets they provide the wholesome nutrition. Now the millet, they are not impacted by the excessive rainfall also, so they are the very hardy crops. So this is something that's being provided. Now the article is saying that today when we talk about agriculture, we need to focus on multiple things. First of all, the crops such as the millet, they are need to be given the renewed attention. Then agro smart agriculture is to be provided. Environmental sustainability should also be promoted. So this is a very, very good take on the agriculture sector and how to enhance the efficacy of agriculture sector in India. Is it clear or not? Now the article says that today the good quality life depends on transforming the food systems. We need to make them more resilient. Resilient means that they should overcome the environmental challenge or such kind of a thing. We need to focus on sustainability with equity. We need to incentivize the production of the commons. Commons means the common resources, common land, common water. We need to protect them. And at the same time, food and nutrition security needs to be enhanced. Moreover, at the same time, guys, we need to focus on one thing. For example, today when we talk about the millets have been equated that they are the coarse grains. So many times the consumption into the people is not very much encouraging. So therefore we need to go for consumer sensitization, fine, so that the people know about the advantages of millets. Consumer sensitization, we need to invest in making the global and regional supply chains, okay. Transparency in the agriculture systems, okay. We need to promote the food processing in the agriculture system, okay. And in that, the labeling, traceability, all these things are to be promoted. So this is something which has been provided, that what India needs to do in order to deal with the food security challenge that is coming in the world. And as the food security challenge is there, many of the actors, players, consumers are getting impacted. So how to preserve their well-being? Now moving to next article, the bigger picture of intermediation financial crisis. This article will see with respect to GS paper number 3, issues related to Indian economy, and within the Indian economy, banking sector. We'll see this article. Okay, now this article is a very good article because it has a very, in a very detailed manner, it has discussed the roles of the banks. Moreover, this particular year's Nobel Prize in Economics were given to the economists who have showcased that how the banks get impacted because of a financial crisis that comes. Okay, now basically when we talk about the banks or the financial sector play a very important role. It mobilizes the savings for the investments. Now the people who are earning the money, they put the money into the bank in the saving account, and that particular money is pooled by the bank and it is given to the investors, to the entrepreneurs who want to invest and want to go for the wealth generation. Okay, it creates opportunities to pool risk. It improves allocative efficiencies. Okay, taking the resource from one and allocating that particular resource to the other who needs it most. You might be having 1 crore rupees, but you might not need it right now. But 1 crore rupee might be needed by some another person who wants to start a factory, who wants to start an industry. So the allocative efficiencies are also increased by the banks. Now today, guys, when we talk about the banks, okay, the banks, they offer such services, but at the same time the banks are always very much vulnerable. Okay, the services that the banks are giving, it always make banks vulnerable to small shocks. Now the shocks, if there are the market sentiments that will change, that market sentiment might trigger a financial crisis, and that direct implication will be on the bank. We'll understand this particular thing more just in few minutes. First of all, we have discussed this thing also in the past when the Nobel prizes were being given. So this year's Nobel prize, this year's Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences, it has been given to 3 economists. Okay, keep this particular thing always in your mind, that a Nobel prize cannot be shared more than by 3 people. So 3 American economists, that is Ben S. Bernanke, Douglas W. Diamond, and Philip H. Dweck. These 3 people had got the economic prizes. Why? Because these people had studied the management of financial crisis and have provided the role that the bank play, the roles that the bank play, and why the banks are very much vulnerable in the financial crisis like of situation. Now, they have provided this particular thing, that an ideal situation is when, where banks and the firms are honest, what is happening? An ideal situation is something like this, that there is an economy, people deposit the money in the bank that gives that particular money to the firms, and the firms will return that particular money to the bank with interest, okay, and this interest will be the earning of the bank, okay, and that particular money will be then returned back to the depositors whenever the depositor will need that particular money. If it is a fixed deposit, after that time the money will be returned back, or if it is a demand deposit, then whenever the depositor wants, that money can be withdrawn. So this is a kind of a ideal situation. In this particular situation, there will be a very small volume of non-performing loans, very small volume of the non-performing loans. Why? Because of the majority of the firms will return back the money that they have taken. Okay, but guys, then there are certain extreme situations. Okay, now in this situation, even the wars are not there, even there are such environmental shocks or financial shocks are not there, but in the real condition, guys, there are many such challenges that the banks will face, and the banks will become vulnerable. Now you see this particular thing, that a bank, what it does, it takes the deposits from many of the small investors. It will take deposits from many of the small investors, will pool all that particular deposit. Okay, now understand that at the same time, the depositors who are depositing the money, they have a freedom that if they want to withdraw money at a short notice, or they want to withdraw the money immediately, they can do that particular thing. Whenever there is an unforeseen circumstance, that depositors can withdraw their money at minimum notice. So understand, people are depositing the money, bank is pooling that money, people at the same time have power that whenever they want, they will withdraw the money from the bank. Okay, now at the same time there are the firms, now these firms borrow the money. Now bank will give whose money? Bank will give the depositors money to the firm. Now the firm want to take the loan with longer maturity, 15-year, 20-year maturity loan. Why? Because the investor will invest the money in the business will generate some of the return, and over the period that particular money will be repaid back. So depositors, they want that whenever they want, at minimum notice, they should get the money, and deposit, and the borrowers, the firms, they want to take the loan for the big duration. So therefore the banks, they land in a particular problem. They turn the short-term deposits in the long-term lending, Okay, so that is something that happens. Now in ordinary circumstances, there is no problem in that, because you see this thing, bank will have thousands and lakhs of depositors, and the thousands and the lakhs of depositors will not come at one time to withdraw the money. Somebody will need at one day, then somebody might need after 6 months or something like that. Okay, only a fraction of depositors need a money. But what if an unforeseen circumstance comes? Okay, so basically in the normal circumstances, it will happen. In the normal circumstances, only a fraction of depositors face an unforeseen circumstance and they'll need money. Okay, but suppose if something changes for the depositors, okay, if there is an economic crisis that comes, political event that comes, okay, if a country enters in a war type situation, then what happens? The depositors will withdraw money very fast. Today's depositors are very informed, they are very much smart, so they'll withdraw the money. Now if everybody is withdrawing the money, how the bank will arrange that particular money? There will be a situation of bank run that will develop. In this particular thing, bank might collapse, because obviously bank cannot ask the money from the people who have taken the loan at the short notice, but the people will demand, the depositors will demand. It will bring a financial crisis. Fine. Now, in this particular direction, guys, actually the government needs to play a very important role. Because of this particular bank run, if this particular financial crisis will happen, this particular thing might impact the entire economy. Now, you see this particular thing. If everybody will withdraw the money, the bank will not be able to give, and the bank will be shut down. And that thing will impact the confidence of the depositors into the financial institution. Is it clear or not? Moreover, many other people's needs for the finance might not be met by such kind of a thing. Now, according to the Nobel Prize winners, it has been said that during the Great Depression of 1930, 7,000 banks in the United States failed, and $7 billion of depositors' asset, it got destroyed, it got impacted. Fine. 1930 to 33. Okay, it reduced the effectiveness of the financial sector as a whole by increasing the real cost of intermediating in the market, and credit became more expensive. Now see, basically the banks, they become more conservative after 1930 disturbance, and as they became more conservative, they were not very much ready to give the money to everyone who wants it. Even if the money will be given, it will be given very high interest rate, and if that thing will happen, if the credit availability will not be there in the market, what will happen? What will happen in that particular situation? In that particular situation, there will be the growth that will not come. Okay, so these are all the issues. Now, therefore, preserving the banks or the financial institutions' health is very much important, and there the government needs to play an important role. So that's all about this particular article, guys. And now we'll move to the next article. The plumbing of inner party democracy. The plumbing of inner party democracy. Now, this article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, electoral reforms. GS paper number 2, electoral reforms. Okay. Now, guys, the article talks about the inner party democracy. Now, basically, what do we understand by the word? First of all, inner party democracy. Inner party democracy means that within a political party, whether the members, they have an opportunity to raise the grievances, they have an opportunity to raise their inputs, whether within a political party there are the regular elections that are happening for the post of the president, okay, whether all the decisions are being made on the basis of the majority of the party members or not. So this is the matters of the inner party democracy. Now, why the inner party democracy is coming in the news? Because, guys, if you remember today, the first page article also, it talk about the elections within the Congress that are going to be held. So as the Congress is holding the elections, okay, so the inner party democracy article becomes important. Moreover, few weeks back, if you remember, we have seen that the government in the Andhra Pradesh, they have made the chief minister as the president for the life for the party. Now, that is something which is wrong. Why? Because when we talk about the inner party democracy, the post of the president within a political party need to be kept open via elections. All the members of that particular political party should be able to come to that office. So therefore, inner party democracy becomes very important. Now, the article says that actually there are still some of the issues in the inner party democracy which have not been addressed, which needs some kind of plumbing, There are some of the matters which are not resolved. The article says that actually inner party democracy is a very complex and messy kind of a situation. Now, understand, the article first of all explains that the democracy is actually of two types. There is the procedural democracy and substantive democracy. First of all, let's understand what do we mean by that. Procedural democracy means that all the procedures, all the institutions that are needed for the functioning of democracy, they need to be there. So when we talk about India, there is a universal adult franchise that has been given on the paper. Then there are periodic elections that are happening. Secret ballot is there. All these things provide that the adequate institutions, adequate safeguards that we need for in our democracy, they are there. Procedural democracy is there. Even when we talk about article number 324, under article 324, the Election Commission of India has been given power to go for the superintendence of the elections to Parliament, State Legislative Assembly. So even we have an empowered body also in the name of Election Commission. So the procedural democracy is there. But when we talk about the substantive democracy, it means a core set of beliefs, Okay, it means that not only the procedure needs to be there, those procedure needs to be fulfilled. The realization of democracy on the ground, that is the substantive democracy. Now when we talk about, guys, elections are happening, political parties are participating in elections, secret ballot is there, everything is fine, but what about within the political party, whether there the democracy is there or not? Now that becomes very important in bringing the substantive democracy in India laterwards. Fine. Today when we talk about inner party democracy, inner party democracy, it simply refers to establishing the rules within the political party which promote the bottom up approach, which promotes the decision making, which gives the equal say to all the members of a political party and all such things. Now today when we talk about, guys, today when we talk about the internal democratic regulation, there is no proper provision. There is only section 29 of the Representation of People Act 1951, which talks about internal democratic regulation within the political parties. Now the internal regulation will only come if there will be the regular elections. Okay, now when we talk about the elections for the political party, there is no specific law. However, in 1990, when the T.N. Session was the chief election commissioner, he issued an executive order and asked that all the political parties, they have to conduct the elections from time to time. Periodical elections are to be conducted. This was something that was provided. Okay, since then the political parties are conducting the elections. Now in this particular background, the Election Commission of India, it does not questions that how the elections happened. It don't goes into the nitty-gritties of that election, but just sees a compliance report whether all the political parties are doing it or not. That is something that has happened, which is being followed. Now at the same time, second ARC, second Administrative Reform Commission, the second is the National Commission to Review the Working of the Constitution, and the Law Commission. They all have provided that there needs to be the statutes, there need to be the law, there needs to be the laws where by binding on the political party it should be imposed that they have to conduct the timely elections. So today there is no law. I told you that there was an executive order that was passed in 1990. So today we need to have such kind of a law. Why? Because, guys, today there is a lot of there are a lot of different models in which election is being carried. Synchronization is not there. Now the article gives the reference of the elections within the Congress party. Now see, guys, understand this particular thing, that I always tell you that you don't need to read the political articles, but here even the article has been given in academic sense. First of all, let's read it and then you'll understand. Okay, so see this thing, that there is the Central Election Authority of the Congress. Now this Central Election Authority of the Congress, it has done a very good kind of a job. Number one, it has recruited a massive team of the returning officers within the party, and this team of the returning officers will make sure that all the delegates of the Congress or all the members within the Congress, they are able to vote effectively. Okay, so delegates from all the 9,000 blocks, okay, of the 9,000 blocks of the Congress, they will come and they will participate into the voting process. After that, all the voters within the Congress who are going to vote for the Congress elections, they will be given a special QR, quick response code, ID cards. These QR codes will be scanned so that everybody's identity can also be ascertained. Okay, the polling is happening via secret ballot. Okay, and according to the Central Election Authority, it is being said that this is only possible because of the huge structure within the Congress that is there. Now, therefore, the article says that establishing such credible institution, okay, basically it is being provided that when we talk about the government, okay, government in itself, in order to be efficient, needs to have the government need to have the people's support. They need to have people's faith in them. Now people will trust the government if the party which has made the government is democratic internally also. So for this particular thing, it is being provided that we need to make sure that we are taking up all the reforms to make inner party democracy more strengthened, and in that some of the lessons from the Congress party's election can be taken up. Clear? So that is all, guys, about this particular article. I hope you have understood it, and now we'll move to the next article. In Punjab's war on drugs addiction among women gets overlooked. Okay, so this particular article will see with respect to GS paper number 1, social issues, as well as a case study in GS 4. We'll see this particular article. Now, what this article is all about? Okay, guys, you might be knowing the problem of the drug menace in Punjab. The problem of drug menace in Punjab. Okay, now in order to deal with the problem of the drug menace, the government of Punjab had now taken a kind of a crackdown on the consumers of the drugs as well as on the drug peddlers, etc. Now, when we talk about the drug abuse or drug consumption, basically this has been equated only with the men, only with the men. But what about the women who are also consumers of the such kind of a drugs? Now, when we talk about the substance abuse, so substance abuse by the women, it also gets overlooked. Okay, recently there was a video that went viral where a woman, she had consumed certain drugs and she was inebriated means she was not in her senses. That video went viral. Before that, few days back also there was one video that went viral where a woman had consumed some of the drugs. So basically, first of all, if we see, the focus is only on to the men. It is also a gender stereotype that exists. Okay, that is there, and because of that particular gender stereotype, the women, they are not being given a specific attention. Now, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the data on the women substance of abusers, okay, there is very less number of de-addiction centers. De-addiction centers, women, there are, it is being provided that Punjab has a 32 government run de-addiction center, but the only one center is there which is exclusively for the women, that is the center in Kapurthala. So out of 32 government centers, 31 are for men, only one center is for women, but women are equally the substance abusers. That is something which has not been taken in consideration. Now guys, see this particular thing. Recently, the Punjab opioid dependence survey was conducted. Now this survey was in 2014 and 15. Okay, now this survey in short is called as the pod survey. Okay, the pods survey. Now this particular survey, it provided that 2.3 lakh person in the state are dependent on opioids. Okay, so opium plant, in the opium plant there is an intoxicant. Okay, so the opium plant and its products, okay, the people who consume them, they are called as opioid dependent. Okay guys, is my voice audible? Are you able to hear me? Fine, please confirm, is the voice audible? Are you able to hear me or not? Okay. Yes, can you confirm, is it audible? We were discussing that in the state of Punjab, there are around 2.3 lakh people who depend on the opioids. Okay, and out of them around 8 to 10,000 addicted to the substance abuse. They are not being admitted to these de-addiction centers because of the social stigma that is there. Social stigma that is there. So guys, we need to bring the changes at multiple levels. We need to first of all provide that there should be the adequate facilities. Secondly, we need to provide that the social stigma, etc., that is there, it is also needed to be removed. Now in this particular direction guys, in this particular direction, there are many of the civil societies in the Punjab, they are who are running the outreach program. Now under this outreach program, the workers are going to the drug abusers, they are bringing them to the hospitals, they are being brought to for the medical checkups. Okay, and all these particular kind of things are happening. Is it clear or not? So just understand this particular thing. Okay guys, is it now visible or not? I actually, what happened, there is some I think the Wi-Fi connectivity went away and I have just connected with the mobile data. Fine, so this is something that has happened. Fine, so therefore we need to bring the changes at multiple levels. We need to bring the changes at the social level so that the social stigma is removed. Then we need to bring the change at the psychological level, and at the psychological level we need to understand this particular thing, that the women can also be the substance abusers. Okay, and then at the infrastructural level we need to open up the centers for the de-addiction. Fine, that is all guys about this particular article, and now we'll move to the next article. Private projects give investment boost in the quarter 2. Private projects give investment boost in the quarter 2. Now guys, what this particular article is talking about, this particular article, what it is talking about, just a minute. Guys, now is it clear or not? Okay, I think now it's clear. So what this particular article is talking about, now this article guys is about the projects survey that has been carried. Now this project today's project survey, it has been provided that for the financial year 2022 and 2023 the private investments have increased. Now just we'll see this thing. The article is saying that India's private sector investment, okay, announcement increased 66% between the month of July and September. 5.6 lakh 5.7 lakh crore rupees of investment projects have been announced. Now the first quarter, that is the April onwards, April to June was not very much good, but the second quarter has been very much good. In the first quarter there was the dip of around 20.5%, but now the second quarter it has seen a very good improvement into the private projects that have come. Just now, just one thing I want to tell you guys. Few days back, what happened? The finance minister specifically raised this particular thing, that over the years, private sector, the corporate sector, they are not fulfilling their responsibility. Though government, okay, is it visible now? Though government, though government has Though government in the past have fulfilled their responsibilities, government has provided them the tax breaks, government has provided them many of the tax holidays and all such kind of things. But at the same time, private sector has not brought the investments, and because the private sectors has not brought the investments, that is something which should be done, Now, in this particular direction, this project today's report had said that now actually the private sector's investments have increased. There are some of the data, some of the estimates that they have given. For example, in the manufacturing sector, it has been seen that 958 projects have been announced, okay, whose value is something like this, and therefore in year on year there is an improvement into the irrigation. New private projects are being launched, okay, there is a 617% improvement is there, and in total it's being provided that there is a 66% improvement by the private sector that is coming. Now you see this particular thing, actually guys, just you see this particular thing, just you need to have the broad trends in the mind. You just need to have the broad trends in the mind. Now in this particular broad trends, okay, just remember the name of the project today and its projects survey, which you can put that 66% private investment has increased. By the way, as the third quarter will come, these particular numbers will change, but just you need to provide this particular data as a reference. So that is all about this particular article, okay. Then the next article. Now guys, this particular article, it talks about the Tamil Nadu who had raised the concerns over the presence of the Chinese troops in the Sri Lanka. Okay guys, is it visible now? Can you tell me? Okay. Now what this article is talking about, the Tamil Nadu which have raised the concerns over the presence of the Chinese troops in the Sri Lanka. Now what has happened, there are the Chinese troops. Guys, I don't know what's the issue that's coming. There is some kind of a issue in connectivity. Okay, So what has happened? The Tamil Nadu, it has raised the concerns with respect to the Chinese troops in the Sri Lanka. So in the past, it has been seen that the Chinese troops, the troops from the People's Liberation Army of the China, they have entered into the Sri Lanka, and now they might be going in some intelligence collection and all such kind of things. Now the troops of the PLA, they have been there in Sri Lanka, and they are deploying the high-tech gadgets, satellites, drones, and all such kind of a communication equipment. And this particular thing might have challenge on the national security of India. It might have the challenge on the national security of India. Basically, what had happened, the People's Liberation Army, PLA's troops have come to the Sri Lanka in the garb of launching the sea cucumber farming. Now, the sea cucumber farming happens around the Park Bay region, and in the name of sea cucumber farming, they have entered the Sri Lanka, but actually the real purpose still lies hidden. Now, it is being provided that it has multiple problems. Number one, they might actually be going for some intelligence collection which might impact the national security. For example, guys, a few days back it has been found that many of the many of the Chinese nationals had tried to enter India through the sea routes, and in that particular thing they are being provided the help by a political party from the Sri Lanka. This is something that has happened. Moreover, it is also being provided that as these Chinese nationals are involving into the sea cucumber harming project, okay, in this particular direction it will also impact the livelihood of the Tamilian peoples. Now the Tamilian people, sea cucumber farming for them is a very important source of livelihood. So even if they are harvesting the sea cucumbers there, it will impact them. Now, at the same time, few days back, if you remember this particular thing, there was Yuan Wang 5, that was a Chinese research vessel that was that got docked in the Sri Lanka. Now, Yuan Wang 5, this was a Chinese ship which had the capability to track the satellites, okay, and all such kind of things. Now, it was said that this satellite tracking ship of the Wang 5, which got docked in the Tamil Nadu, it might be involving in the intelligence kind of functions, and by that particular thing, again, the India's security will get impacted. Now, this is the matter that India has raised with the Sri Lanka also, but this is something, a very big concern that have come in this particular direction. So guys, understand this particular thing, that as we talk about the India-Sri Lanka relations, within the India-Sri Lanka relation, now China is becoming a very big kind of an irritant, and in that particular direction, the Chinese presence in the Sri Lanka, even the PLA's presence in the Sri Lanka, it might have some credible issues. Now India can raise this particular matter against the Sri Lanka at multiple forums, at multiple fronts, even in the United Nations Human Rights Council, UNHRC, there is a vote against the Sri Lanka that is pending. India has many times abstained against the Sri Lanka and actually it helped the Sri Lanka. But India needs now to keep forward that if this is the same thing that the Sri Lanka will carry, then India have to take some stringent steps. So this is all about this particular article. And now guys, we'll move to the next article. Okay, so this is all about the today, and now we have the mains practice question. So the mains practice question for today says, what do you understand by inner party democracy? Why is it necessary to promote intra-party democracy? Critically analyze. So this is the answers this is the GS paper number 2 answer. This is the GS paper number 2 question, and it will be a 15 marker question. So guys, please do write the question on these particular the answer on this particular question. I hope that this is clear. Guys, there might be some issues that would have come in the today's video. This is because of the internet that went away, the Wi-Fi connection that got broken, and I have to connect it with the mobile data. Okay, so apologies for the streaming issues in the today. Thank you so much.